So to begin this episode with a game, we're going to talk about Dream Home. Tell us about it, Matt.
It's you know what? It's not designed by the same people who did Word Slam, but the people who did design it was Klemens, Kalicki. The artist is Bartlomiej, Kordowski, and this was published by Rebel Games.
So Dream Home is a lighter game. You basically have a player board that is a profile of a home. You've got a first floor, a second floor, and a garage kind of deal. And you have a little space that you can put roof tiles. We'll get to that. In the middle of the board, there is going to be a kind of like a drafting area where you're going to put a row of cards and then another row of cards. So when you draft, you're always going to draft a column. So you're going to take 2 cards basically, unless you take the very first column. It has a printed thing on there that says you take the first player marker. So the 2 column or the 2 cards that you're going to get, one of them will always be a room card, and the other one will be like a roof card or a special character that will give you either in-game scoring or like a special ability that you can use. Anyway, there's also some like decoration items that you can buy that you can enhance your rooms with, but we'll get into that. The game's pretty simple. When you get those cards, you place them into your home. The room cards you have to place, and it's kind of like picture Connect 4. So when you drop something, it's going to go to the very bottom level. So you can't put stuff on the second floor unless there's something on the first floor below it. The garage takes up 2 spaces underneath the first floor. So in order to build on the first floor above the garage, you have to finish off the garage spaces as well. When you place a card, you're trying to get it within similar colors. So like the living room, you have to have 1, 2, or 3 cards, and if you have all 3 of them next to each other, they're worth the most points, whereas 1 card by itself is usually worth 1 point, and they escalate from there. You can finish rooms. If they get finished, then you can't add anything onto it. So if like you have a bathroom, that's a bad example. If you have another like a kitchen, which I think is 2 cards, you can't put another kitchen card next to it because the kitchen's already completed. You could skip a space.
Makes no sense.
You could skip a space and put another kitchen, but whatever. Anyway, you keep going. You play, I think, 12 or I think it was 11 or 12 rounds. You basically play through all the cards in the game. At that point, you play enough rounds to have a card for every slot on your board. And I think it was 12, but I don't have it in front of me to remember.
10? Was it 5 and 2 or 4 and 2?
No, I think it's 8. Yeah, 4 and 2.
I think it's 5 and 2.
5 and 2.
Yeah, I think it's 12.
That sound better.
12 rounds.
Well, anyway, you play until your board's full. If you can't place a card, it goes face down and it becomes like a room you're working on. The artwork makes it look like it's renovating or something. And at the end of the game, you get points for having all your cards next to each other. And like I was talking about, for having double the kitchen cards next to each other, etc. You also get like some bonus points if you build like the perfect home and stuff. Like if you have like a bathroom, a kitchen, and a bedroom or whatever. The roof cards you collect, the roof cards are different colors. So if you only get to keep 4 of your roof cards at the very end, and you want to make sure they're all the same color. You get the most bonus points that way, but you can have, at least a couple. You can have it all different colors as long as you complete the roof, things like that. So it's really simple. It's just basically a card drafting game where you draft 2 cards at a time and play them. So Eric, we're gonna start with you since you're the realtor. What'd you think of Dream Home?
Well, I like the presentation. I like the artwork. I like you're basically building a home. You can decide, what rooms you're going to have. So I did like those aspects about it. It was pretty light, so I would say it's good for families, but maybe the replayability isn't there for more heavier or, if you've been gaming for a while. So maybe a filler for, that crowd.
That's fair. I think it's an awesome game for like families for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I think that may stop it is, do you all think that there's a little bit too much text on the special ability cards? Or is that like if your kid's like 8 or 9, it's going to be fine?
Right. If they're 8 or 9, they'll be able to understand it. Maybe younger than that. Probably not so much so.
It says 7+ on the box.
And I think that's all the community actually says 6+.
Oh, yeah?
So
I guess there really isn't that many of special abilities, and there might be multiples of them. So
No, I think the only one they might get tripped up on is the one you can replace later. They might forget about that or something.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think they were too complicated as far as the abilities.
All right. And I guess it works out since I typically don't like games where you see all of the components as you play it. But this game is fast enough that I think it's okay. And if you're playing with younger kids, that'll work out really well because they'll always see everything every game.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, for the most part. Because I guess you do burn some of the cards or whatever. But if you're playing 2 or 3 players, and even if you're playing 4 players, there's still 5 options. So 2 cards will get left out each round. What'd you think, Matt?
I mean, basically what Eric said. It is it's a good looking game. It's fairly simple. It's quick. I never thought about the replayability, but I guess that would be a problem. You pretty much see every card your first playthrough. I guess maybe you could get just the order they come out could be different, and maybe if you get a person that's just burning crazy cards, you might have to think a little differently on your feet. But all in all, it's a pretty solid game, I guess. It is light, so
yeah. If somebody didn't let me borrow this, I probably wouldn't have bought it myself. But if I come across it pretty cheap, I'll probably end up picking it up just to have it. Because I think it is a good game where, if a family comes over and they don't play many games.
I wouldn't really bust it out for us, but...
Yeah, exactly. Like when I play with like Rachel's family and stuff like that, this is a perfect game.
Yeah,
to just
something
throw
that's
out there.
easy to teach, the concepts are pretty light and doesn't have a lot of rules.
Yeah, but it has enough there to stay relevant. And I think that it has a little bit of strategy because you want to play in your house out the right way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to screw yourself into a position where you can't put a card, and you also want to be cognizant of the in-game scoring stuff to get the bonus points as well.
Right.
So you're kind of planning all that out and hoping that if you're playing less than 4 players, because if 4 players, you don't burn cards. But if I don't know, what did you all think about that? Because we thought at first, as soon as I told you all that rule, it's like, whoa, that sounds broken. So in a 2 or 3 player game, you still put out 5 columns of cards.
Mm-hmm.
But the first player gets to burn a column, except for the first column that has the get the first player marker.
Right. I think it gives a bigger bonus to being first. So
I think that was probably necessary because first player probably wasn't that big of a deal.
You always getting first pick at everything is really nice. Mm-hmm. So you already got the big bonus there. Now it just gives you even more of an incentive to move it, I guess.
True, but our scores were so close at the end. Mm-hmm. That's why I say that. Like, it seems like a big deal, but it depends on what you're building with. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm done with my kitchen, it's not like you're not going to get a kitchen. I guess if you're trying to build the same things at the same time, that would be a problem. But if you stay off the path that the other players are picking, I think if going third, I'm not sure you want to do that all the time.
No,
but I don't think it was. I think going last in a 4-player game because nothing gets burned either, like that would probably be bad because you get stuck with 2 columns of options. But I mean, you can hate draft in the.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what you're
with that burn thing.
Right. You're doing. You'll be like, I need this, and I'm gonna look around, and all right, you need to finish up your kitchen. Well, not this round. You take it away.
It at least says it's optional. It would be interesting to play without it and see how, because the only problem is with playing without it. I'm not sure. First player, like unless you're third player, like I would be fine going second like 90% of the time.
Yeah, and I was still pretty fine going second, even with that roll. Going third is pretty bad, probably. So that does keep the first player moving, though. Usually the third player wants to pick it up.
Yeah, that's true. Well, overall, I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else, Matt.
No.
Eric?
None for me.
Oh, that was a pretty quick game. We probably talked about the game as long as it actually is.
Yeah,
it says about 30 minutes, I think, but the first time you play it, it's like 30 minutes. Dude, we could probably kick this thing out in 15. Oh, the last thing I will say is this goes on my list of games. Like if you ever had like a top 5 games you want to take a picture of the crap you made throughout it.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. It is, I guess, fun to do something where you're, building something. So you're kind of making your house and
like castles of Mad
different
King Ludwig.
And then tossing, different pieces in your living room to finish it off.
They can have the PvP expansion where you can set fire to each other's homes.
There you go.
Well, anyway, let's dream home.